Remember, we've had 45 and 50, haven't we, in the last 2 Grand Prix? And I think Ralf Schumacher in the Toyotas on a very soft Bridgestone tyre, which may have flattered him in qualifying, and he could...
Oh, someone spun it. It's Montoya. Sorry to cut into you, Martin, but just giving it a bit of the old gas. Montoya has spun it. I don't think I've ever seen that before, coming round to the grid. I've seen Fisichella go into the wrong grid slot. Juan Pablo Montoya is pointing sideways onto the grid, and I believe that if all the cars go past him, because he's on his parade lap, he'll have to start from the back of the grid, won't he?
Well, that's after they leave the grid, that rule, but he obviously switched the traction control off, but he can't reverse it up. I think if they all go past him, he'll then have to start at the back. You're right, switched the traction control off, I suspect, and just dropped it. How embarrassing. I can't think of anything more embarrassing than that. And he's struggling. He's found reverse now. So what will he do? This is so unusual, James. I don't know what the protocol...
Oh.
Fisichella, that is Alonso.
That's Fisichella.
Sorry,
So Fisichella has stalled it on the grid. Alan Permain, race engineer, on the left. Flavio Briatore in the middle. Alonso there, you're looking at the right-hand side of the grid. They will go around. It's the new rule for last year. You can see that they go around and do another parade lap and form up. They will push Fisichella's car into the pit lane, and we'll see what race control tells Montoya they want him to do, whether they want him to go back to his original grid slot or start, as you can see where he is at the moment, right at the very back. But Fisichella will be pushed into the pit lane, and he will have to start from there.
I'm not even going to go to the rule book because I'm sure it's not covered. Once they leave the grid, if the last car passes you the dummy grid, it's covered, but not when you spin like that. If I was him, I would now make my way through the pack on this lap. I'd be charging through the field now you've got to make sure that you don't get sideswiped by somebody warming up his tyres. I'd be steaming up and park my car in the right position and worry about it later.
That's what happened.
Yeah, following his teammate around, trying to get plenty of temperature in those tyres. What he didn't do is bury the throttle there and get the thing in the... Ross found that very amusing. And you're right, Jack, I've never seen that before. I mean, we've crashed going to the grid before on an outlap, but Ted has news.
Yeah, small smiles in the Honda garage about that one, but I tell you what's important, Martin, is that removes Giancarlo Fisichella and Juan Pablo Montoya from Jenson Button and a chance of maybe a victory.
Where's the other runner? Fizzy's stalled on the grid, so you've just got Alonso behind you.
Now that'll be music to his ears. I agree with them. I believe Montoya can, will and should take his grid position up. And the race distance, of course, is now reduced by 1 lap. And they'll save a bit of fuel on this, so they might be able to go a little bit further into the Grand Prix. But disaster for Renault. And now is a good time just to keep your head, keep calm, because everything's just that the tyres are just so cool now, the pressures are so low, and here comes Monty on his way through the pack, and he can just find his way to his grid slot.
So we heard Andrew Shovlin, the race engineer of Jenson Button, saying they don't believe Montoya will be allowed to go back to his original grid slot. McLaren have obviously instructed him different, because he is making his way through to his 5th place on the grid, which is now 4th, of course, because Fisichella is starting from the pit lane. There's Ron Dennis. He will have made this call. Nick Fry is saying, no, not right. And basically, if you get passed by the last car on the parade lap, yes, it means off the line as you go on the parade lap, but surely it must mean at any time on the parade lap. Well, I wonder. That's the grey area here.
This used to be effectively, they used to go into a restart procedure, didn't they? They changed it so that, and I've recovered my position before now after a stall when there's been another problem with other cars and been allowed to do it.
Well, Honda have traditionally not had a great time when you've had to do an aborted start and a restart. Historically, it's caught them out a little bit. Jenson Button now no longer has Fisichella there, but he's going to worry about Alonso. Watch out for Alonso. He's right behind Button. The Australian Grand Prix 2006 is going to get underway any moment now. And they're off. Watch out for Alonso. How's his start? How is Button's? What about Raikkonen? What's the story down to turn 1? There goes Alonso. He's not going to make the move. Raikkonen covers Montoya. Montoya pushes Raikkonen right to the inside. Raikkonen responds. Very firm tactics between the 2 McLaren drivers. And now Alonso's attacking. On the way down to turn 3. He goes to the outside line. And does he take it? No! Jenson is strong. He retaliates. The McLarens are having a heck of a ding-dong. Martin?
Well, I think the two McLarens were fighting on the first lap of Malaysia and ended up getting hit from behind. They do go for it, and they got penalised there. Jensen covered his ground very well down to turn 3, had the inside line. Alonso, a bump there. That's Coulthard and the Toyota of Ralf Schumacher.
I think.
No, Trulli's got up there with a good start. Coulthard looks like he's got a problem too from there. Safety car
leads the Grand Prix. Alonso is second. We've got car 6 off the racetrack. That's Felipe Massa. The safety car is standing by because Massa is off track. We haven't seen it, but look at the McLarens. Look at Montoya. Look at Raikkonen. What a tremendous scrap between these two. Button leads the Grand Prix. Alonso is second, and now the safety car is deployed. They're all slowing down now. They've been given the information. Jenson Button slows the pace down. Thank goodness for that, because I was running out of breath there.
Yeah, well, Massa's in the hedge somewhere then early in the lap. We haven't seen a picture of it yet. Must be, it's at turn 2, which is like, look at the understeer, look at that. The understeer there, when the tyres have cooled down, the pressure goes. There's the Toyota then of Trulli that had a coming together with Coulthard. Did that damage David Coulthard's car? And Massa doesn't, he's got one lap, not even a lap under his belt before he's ripped the other side off the Ferrari now. I think they worked all night, didn't they, more or less, to get him a new chassis after his mistake yesterday. And, well, he's obviously collected somebody in the first corner then.
So let me